Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today we are going to check out the Age of Sigmar, Hedonites of Slaanesh, Battletome. Alright, here we have our cover. Look at that fellow. That fellow there. Oh, I think that's a new one. Yeah, that's right. I've seen these minis now. These are the new minis that are coming out with the book. I don't remember their names yet, but we'll have a look at them. I remember enjoying his face when I was looking through the previews. Loved it. Alright. Our nice dark imaging. Okay, to give some background on the Hedonites, if you haven't heard of Slaanesh and the Hedonites, I basically always think of the 7 deadly sins. That's what they like driven ever onwards by hungers never to be slaked, the Hedonites take to the battlefield as wild, shrieking carnivals, bringing painful death and eternal torment to any with the misfortune of crossing their paths. They, with each artful blade stroke and clawed caress, they seek to please their deity, the Dark Prince of Chaos. Slaanesh was born from obsession and vice, and the rewards for serving him are both the most exquisite pleasures and blissful agonies. Rejoice, waifs and wastrels, scream, sinners and supplicants, cry wanton havoc, and let ecstatic madness reign, for the Hedonite hosts come. And here we begin with that really creepy guy on his throne who seeks success. So the first part of the book is going over the storyline of the Hedonites and Slaanesh in general. And we got our nice colored version of that earlier picture. The deity Slaanesh, one of the chaos gods. The deity, let's see, Slaanesh, the most insidious of the chaos gods. Slaanesh embodies the dark fates born from obsession. His will does not descend screaming upon his victims, nor manipulate them like some uncaring cosmic force. Instead, it nestles intimately within the soul, corrupting the secret hearts of mortals until they ultimately doom themselves. To capture a god. Story of Slaanesh. Finished paired. I suppose some may already be familiar with the fact that Slaanesh is the reason that the Idoneth Deepkin are beings. Carnivals of horror. Look at all these nice pictures and so much lore in behind all of these pretenders. We've got lots of lovely lore. Godseekers, the Dark Prince stirs, the worst of betrayals, the Grand Coup. There's a wealth of information about Slaanesh and his legacy of depravity. Shalaxi Hellbane. It's focusing more on the various units that you'll find if you play the Hedonites, Heralds of Slaanesh. Look at that. Cool art. The epitome in the back, if I remember correctly. Contorted epitomes, that is correct, yes. Celeste. I remember reading Celeste. I guess Celeste probably has the... It used to be available only in an additional book besides the codex, and now it's probably in this codex. I mean Battletome. Daemonites. Very iconic members of the Hedonites. The Chariots of Cruel Desire. The Decadent Vanguard. Oh my goodness, this new character, Glutos Orskalion, Lord of Gluttony. Look at that fellow. Curious what's going on in her mind. She seems very enthralled with what she's doing. And I didn't even notice until I looked at the model that this guy is like, this is actually about how tall he really is. It's pretty cute. And boy, that guy is creepy. Creepy! Siegbald, Prince of Slaanesh. Not so creepy. He's a pretty cool model. They did a really nice paint job on the one that you see on display too. Champions of the Dark Prince. Revelers in Ruin. So much. You get to learn so much about each of your pieces, each of your models, and then we get to see all the models out and about. Facing some Lumineth. There's that model. His flowing hair is rather magnificent, and his cloak is too. Sometimes the flowing hair doesn't work out well, but that seemed to work just fine. Look at him. Dark Splendor. He looks good, and I also like the look of these guys. I mean, it's a bit tall. A bit tall. But I really like how these guys are done as well. I enjoy his grin. Look at this guy. These guys are pretty cute looking. I'm enjoying these guys, these new models with this creepy hairdo and that really cool. Now this looks like it would give you a really sore neck, but I enjoy their armor a lot. I think these look great. And I like these guys too. I like these demon style heads. That's cool. It's painted nicely too. Do you see that opalescent way that they painted it? That's nice. And Siegbald. He's cool. The New Seekers. New Seekers of Slaanesh. Neat. Oh, facing orcs this time. Ooh. Shalaxi Hellbane. The biggest model that you can get for the Hedonites of Slaanesh. We've got this very cool, very creepy lady. That's his skin. It's the creepiest cool model I've ever seen. That's that. Yep. Horrifyingly cool. And I do enjoy this duo. Do enjoy them a lot. I enjoy this happy face. Totally enjoying themselves. Look at them. So happy. Happy with their contorted epitome. Facing Fire Slayers this time. That's a really nice paint scheme. This turquoise, purple, and pale skin with a little tint of red. Looks great, I think. I enjoy this little addition of Blood for the Blood God hanging out there. That's good. Keeper of Secrets. An alternate variant. And we've got some demonettes now. Some fiends. Ooh. Possible paint schemes. I like that one. That's cool. I like that paint scheme. Oh, facing some corn this time. Or joining with corn. Looks like they're facing corn. To gorge on excess. Alright, and they show all the various models that you can get if you're going to play Hedonites of Slaanesh. All the models currently. Unless, of course, you choose an ally, in which case you can add some other models that are not from Hedonites of Slaanesh. Probably only Chaos, I'm assuming, is what they can do. Well, we got some paint schemes for the iconic color scheme of the Demonettes. Demonette hair variants, all sorts of various ways that you could paint up your models. So you don't have to wonder how they painted it. They let you know. It's nice. Woohoo. Oh, I think they did a good job on that. The fresh brand. Nasty. Build up Screamer Pink and Lamia Medium 1:1 ratio around the area for an inflamed effect. Then paint Blood for the Blood God into the brand itself. Cool. White skin markings. Use slightly thinned white scar to draw a large swirl and then add smaller swirls that spiral off it. We recommend you practice your designs on a piece of paper first. I wouldn't actually say practice on a piece of paper. I actually think practice it on a piece of plastic. It'd be harder to do on plastic. Once you do it on the paint. Yeah, I think that the plastic versus paint will help you better get an idea of what you'd be doing it on. Or how you would be doing it accurately. There's that guy's face. Huh. Very cool. Pretty for the seekers. Ooh, even some base options. Here we go. Okay. Allegiance abilities. This page is just what's going to be coming up. Now, here we've got our allegiance abilities. Okay. So, hosts of Slaanesh. We have invaders, pretenders, or god seekers. You choose one of them. If a unit already has a host of Slaanesh keyword on its war scroll, it cannot gain another one. This does not preclude you from including the unit in your army, but you cannot use the allegiance abilities for its host of Slaanesh. Okay. So, and then the thing that everyone gets from the looks of it, Locus of Diversion. At the end of the charge phase, each friendly Hedonite demon hero within 1 inch of an enemy unit can create a Locus of Diversion. If they do so, pick one enemy unit that is within 1 inch of that hero and roll a dice. Adding 1 if that hero is a greater demon. Oops. On a 4+, that unit cannot make a pile-in move before it attacks in the following combat phase. Interesting. And it says it's at the end of the charge phase. Okay. So they cannot make a pile-in move before it attacks in the following combat phase. Oh wait, on a 4+, that unit cannot make a pile-in move before it attacks on the following combat phase. At the charge phase. Oh, same turn, okay. You cannot pick the same unit as the target for this ability more than once in the same phase. Alright, so it kind of messes up their ability to respond to you charging in. Interesting. Euphoric Killers. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by a Hedonite model is 6, the attack inflicts 2 hits on the target instead of 1. Make a wound roll and save roll for each hit. If the attacking model's unit has 20 or more models, it inflicts 3 hits on an unmodified hit roll of 6 instead. Wow, that's for every Hedonite model. That is nasty. That is something that you don't want to forget. All your 6s are super special. You get 2 hits instead of 1. Or 3 hits for the 20+ models. That is great, yeah. I mean, there's other armies that can do it, but generally you have to choose a more specific subgroup to get it. But this one is for all of them. And even better on 20 or plus models. That's cool. Feasts of Depravities. You can summon Slaanesh demon units to the battlefield. If you collect enough depravity points at the end of the battle shock phase, you receive 1 depravity point for each unit on the battlefield that had a wound or mortal wound that was not negated allocated to it in that turn, or has fewer models than it had at the start of the turn. So at the end of the battle shock phase, you receive 1 depravity point for each unit on a battlefield that had a wound or mortal wound allocated to that turn. Well, that would be really easy to make, or has fewer models than it had at the start of that turn. Okay, so if there were any deaths and or if there were any wounds on it, it kind of means that you want to spread out your damage to multiple units to get the most depravity points. Okay. If you have any depravity points at the end of your movement phase, so the next turn, you can summon 1 unit from the list below to the battlefield and add it to your army. And Demons of Slaanesh, so the cost, we'll start at the cheapest. Oh, down here, sorry. The cheapest is 6. If you are like shooting everywhere like crazy, which I guess would be hard. How many? We have to see how many ranged models are in this army. I thought they were mostly, but we'd probably have some wizards too, and that would count. Yeah, that would count too. Okay, so 6 demonettes, 6 depravity points gets 10 demonettes, or 5 seekers, or 1 seeker chariot, or 1 vice leader herald of Slaanesh. You go up. You get a Hellflayer, Bladebringer, Infernal Enrapturous, Exalted Chariot, 8 Bladebringer to Fiends, 9 Contorted Epitome and Bladebringer, Herald of Exalted Chariot versus Herald of Seeker Chariot. 10 is 20 Demonettes or 3 Seeker Chariots. 12 is 30 Demonettes or a Keeper of Secrets. Cool. For those interested in Khorne as well, they've got something similar going on with gathering blood tith points to summon demons. And I imagine I haven't actually recently gone through the other guys, but all of the chaos seem to like to summon things. Okay. Each unit you summon costs a number of depravity points. Yes. Summon units must be set up wholly within 12 inches of a friendly slain Slaanesh hero and more than 9 inches from any enemy units, as that's pretty normal for summoning. Alright, so now we have to choose between the 3 various ones and the first one is Invaders. Alright, Figureheads of the Dark prince. An invader's host is led by numerous warlords, each vying with the others for control and glory. Below these figureheads fight a whirling riot of Slaanesh's minions. Your army can have up to three generals instead of one. Cool. Only one of your generals can have a command trait, but all three are considered to be a general for the purpose of command abilities. However, none of your generals can use a command trait or command ability while they're within 12 inches of any of your other generals. You have to remember that. In addition, each time one of your generals is slain for the first time, you receive one command point. That's neat. It's up to 3 generals. That's interesting. I wonder how that will play out for the various oh my goodness, it's been a while, but there's objectives that deal with generals. At least there used to be. I haven't really played since the new tournament battle book came out. I'll have to check. At the end Escalating Havoc. At the end of the Battle Shock phase, you receive 1 Depravity point if any of your generals are wholly within enemy territory. Cool. If 3 of your generals are wholly within enemy territory at the end of your Battle Shock phase, you receive D3 Depravity points instead of 1. Invaders Hedonite Host. Hedonite hosts in your army must include 2 to 4 Epicurean Reveler battalions instead of 1 to 3, and 0 to 2 Seeker Cavalcades instead of 1 to 3. Okay. Sure. Guess we'll get to that. We're on page 80. That says it's on page 100. It's just talking about the battalions. All right. So these are the possible command traits you can have for Invader Heroes General only. Best of the best. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by this general while it is within 6 inches of another hero. Makes sense. I don't know. Depends on. Maybe. At the end of the combat phase, if any enemy units were destroyed in that phase, and this general is on the battlefield, you receive 1 command point. I mean, that's always nice. More command points, depending on what you're using them for, besides everyone's command points, command traits. Hurler of Obscenities. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy hero within 6 inches of this general. Until the end of that phase, add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks made by that hero that target this general, but subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target that hero. Okay. Territorial. You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this general if they are wholly within your territory. Well, that seems like an option. I'm sure there will come a time when you have to have one of your generals in your own territory, just for gaining objectives and making certain he doesn't die. So that seems pretty good. He stays in the back until, you know, if they happen to advance further or they get in your way. I think that's would be pretty nice. Anyway, Skin Taker. Okay. At the end of the combat phase, if any enemy models were slain by wounds inflicted by this general's attack in that phase, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to this general. Well, that's pretty nasty. Oh, can you imagine going against that? If any enemy models were slain by wounds. Well, that will make that general hard to kill. Nasty. Or Delusions of Infallibility. Add 2 to the wounds characteristic of this general, which could be quite nasty too. Still, I think I'd choose one of these 2. You let me know which ones you would want if you chose Invaders and why. Let us know. Share the knowledge. Okay, Artifacts of Power. Sacred Spoils of War. So an artifact of power, the Rod of Misrule. At the start of your hero phase, roll a dice. On a 1, your opponent receives 1 command point. Good. What? Your opponent. Okay. On a 2 to 5, you receive 1 command point. On a 6, you receive D3 command points. Just wonder what you'd be using all that command points for. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll have to see. Rapier of Ecstatic Conquest. Pick one of the bear's melee weapons. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with that melee weapon is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. Well, that's always nice. Very situational. You have to hit, and then you have to roll for the wound, so... But mortal wounds are nice. If you had, like, a lot of attacks, that might be possible. Whip of Subversion. At the end of the combat phase, you can pick one enemy hero within 6 inches of the bearer. Pick one melee weapon that the hero is armed with, then pick one other enemy unit within 3 inches of that hero. That unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the unmodified... Sorry, what? At the end of the combat phase, you can pick one enemy hero within 6 inches of the bearer. Whip. Pick one melee weapon that hero is armed with, then pick one other enemy unit within 3 inches of that hero. That unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the unmodified attacks characteristic of the melee weapon you picked. Let's just think that out. I don't have Slaanesh, so there's my Slaanesh guy. And that's my enemy, because that's what we're doing right now. All right, so. At the end of the combat phase, he's the one who has got the whip. Okay. At the end of the combat phase, you can pick one enemy hero within... Oh, I need another enemy. Another enemy unit. Okay, well... Oh, yeah. They're friends right now. Alright. Pick one melee weapon that hero is armed with, and then pick one... So, he happens to be better. He's got 3 attacks. Then pick one enemy unit within 3 inches of that hero. That unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the unmodified attacks character. Oh, okay. So that unit is the one that takes 3 attacks. It can drive a victim or a rival to attack their own allies. Got it. Alright. That's cool. It punishes your enemy for keeping your units close together within 6 inches of that guy. That's interesting. Cool. That's neat. I like it. That could be really, really nasty. I mean, situational, but great against melee heroes. And Age of Sigmar. Fair bit of melee heroes going on, so... Cool. Alright, once per battle, at the start of the combat phase, the bearer can use this artifact, Icon of Infinite Excess. If they do so until the end of that phase, add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Hedonite units while they are wholly within 12 inches of the bearer. Okay. Once per battle. If they do so, add 1 to the hit rolls. That's pretty nasty because they've already got 6s. Is unmodified hit rolls? The unmodified hit roll is a 6. Okay, never mind. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with the melee weapons by friendly. Well, they're 12 inches. Once per battle, though. Still, you're gonna probably have lots. A big unit. Choose a 30 model unit while they're wholly within 12 inches of the bear, and that 30 model unit is going to take someone out. Let's add 1 to the hit rolls, probably. Plus, with their every 6 is an additional hit. That's a lot of attacks. That seems pretty nasty. Okay, Fallacious Gift. After setup is complete, but before the battle begins, pick one enemy hero on the battlefield, then pick one of their weapons. Are we doing something weird again? At the end of each battle round in which that hero has attacked with that weapon, that hero suffers 1 mortal wound. Wow, that's kind of cool. That could really shut down someone quick. He just suffers a mortal wound. At the end of each battle round, that's really neat. You pick their best hero that they totally want to get into combat, and Oh, that's nasty. And they're just taken down every round. It's each battle round. Oh, it's each battle round, so not your attack, not your combat and their combat. It's just both combats at the end of the round. Okay. Still, that really puts a damper in things. Nasty. The Beguiling Gem. At the start of the combat phase, pick one enemy hero within 3 inches of the bearer and roll 3d6. If the roll is greater than the hero's bravery characteristic, subtract 1 from attack's characteristic of that hero's melee weapons to a minimum of 0 until the end of that phase. Start of the combat phase, and this is artifact power, so you just keep doing it. Pick one enemy within 3 inches and roll 3d6. If that roll 3d6. Between 3 and 18, and the roll is higher than the hero's bravery. A lot of people's heroes' bravery are between 6 and 10, which is not too difficult to get on a 3d6. So I could really put a damper on their ability. Wait, pick one enemy hero though. I'm not certain if that's... Subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic. I don't know. I don't know whether that's strong enough in comparison to the other ones. Because it's only for a hero, it's only -1 attack. It's only maybe. And if you're within 3 inches. So that seems very situational. I don't know about that one. Alright, now that was the invaders. Now we're on to pretenders. So first, battle traits. Magnificent made flesh. If the general of a pretender's army is a hero, they have 2 different command traits instead of 1. That's neat, so we'll have to keep that in mind in having double command traits around. In addition, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly pretender units that have 10 or more models while your general is on the battlefield. Wow, that is nasty. I like it. But faster depravity points for invaders. That's pretty good though, and it's 2 command points. I'm liking that pretty good. Maybe I'll choose pretenders if I were to get. Alright. Pretender Supreme Saberates. A Supreme Saberates battalion at page 102, and a pretender's army must include 1 Slaanesh hero instead of 3 to 6. Okay. Sure. Warlord Supreme. At the end of your battle shock phase, you receive 1 depravity point if your general is within 3 inches of an enemy unit. At the end of your battle shock phase, you receive D3 depravity points instead of 1 if your general is within 3 inches of 2 or more enemy units. So that's cool. Easy enough to do that would be to make certain your general is one of the big guys, so that they're not dead anytime soon. Okay, now command traits. The general only. Once per command, Strength of Godhood. Once per combat phase in step 4 of the attack sequence. Okay. You can add 1 to the damage inflicted by 1 successful attack made by this general. Neat. Monarch of Lies. At the start of the combat phase, pick 1 enemy hero within 3 inches of this general. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that hero in that phase. Neat also. Craving Stare. If an enemy unit fails a battle shock test within 6 inches of this general, add D3 to the number of models that flee. That's nasty. Strongest Alone. You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by this general while there are no other friendly models within 6 inches of them. Neat. He just goes off by himself. Strongest Alone. Reroll hit rolls for attacks. Oh, that seems pretty nasty. Particularly with the Warlord Supreme. You make your Warlord one of the big guys, and he's strongest alone, so he doesn't need to have anyone with him, and you reroll attacks, and everyone's gonna try and kill him, but you're rerolling attacks, and he's tough. Same just healing things. Add 1 Hunter of God Beasts. Add 1 to the damage inflicted by successful attacks made by this general that target a monster. Okay. Inspirer. You can reroll Battleshock tests for friendly pretender units while they are wholly within 9 inches of this general, which might be nice for big demonettes units if you're hanging around with those. And you do get 2 of these guys. In addition, you reroll hit rolls of 1. Oh, so nasty. For units that have 10 or more models. Oh, so that combination is good. Get yourself 10 or more models in all sorts of different ways and reroll Battleshock tests while they're within 9 inches. What's that? 6, double stuff. Yeah, just checking for healing abilities. So, the healing ability was over here, yeah? Yeah, Skin Taker. Okay. Now, Artifacts of Power. The Crown of Dark Secrets. At the start of the first battle round, pick 1 enemy hero. You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by the bearer that target that hero, and you can reroll unbinding rolls for that bearer. Ooh. Oh, nasty. You can reroll unbinding rolls for the bearer for spells cast by that hero. I'll mess you up. Start of the first bound, you pick 1 enemy hero. To Artifact of Power. Start of the first battle round, pick 1 enemy hero. That's just it. At the start of the first battle round until the end of time, I guess. Reroll hit rolls for attacks made by the bearer that target the hero. You reroll unbinding rolls. That's nasty. Okay. Pendant of Slaanesh. At the start of your hero phase, I mean, nasty if there's a hero that happens to be a wizard that you want to target and make them go down. Be completely useless. Pendant of Slaanesh. At the start of your hero phase, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to the bearer. Okay, so there's the heal ability. As long as your guy is not named, not unique, you'd be able to put that on him and have at it. Nasty. Sliver Slash. Pick 1 of the bearer's melee weapons, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of that weapon, okay? Scepter of Domination. At the start of the hero phase, if the bearer is within 12 inches of any enemy heroes and your opponent has any command points, you take into command points, roll a dice. On a 4+, your opponent loses 1 command point and you receive 1 command point. You are stealing command points. Knit. Breathtaker. You can reroll the dice roll that determines if an enemy hero within 6 inches of the bearer is affected by the Locus of Diversion battle trait, which did what again? At the end of the charge phase, diversion, 4+, that unit cannot pile in. At the end, at the end of the charge phase. Oh, so it's their charge phase too. Their charge phase or your charge phase. Yeah, my bad. Their charge phase or your charge phase. That's more powerful. Okay. Mask of Spiteful Beauty. At the start of your hero phase, pick 1 enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer. Subtract 2 from that unit's bravery characteristic until your next hero phase. Okay. At the start of your hero phase, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to the bearer. I like that one. On the other hand, that's also pretty nasty. I like healing. That'd be the one I choose. Do let me know if you're going with the pretenders, which one you would choose. I'd be nasty. I'd do this, and keeping that in mind. Yeah. So keeping that in mind, and doing, you can reroll the strongest alone, and then since you get to choose 1 more, maybe this. If you're going after heroes, maybe, but it feels... Oh, no, Craving Stare. Yeah, okay, so that one, is it? Yeah, that one, plus that one. On the big baddie, who's not named, plus that one. With my pretenders. I think that's what I would do for that. That is my first impressions on what I would do for that. Alright, now, Godseekers. Thundering Cavalcade. Add 1 charge. Add 1. I'm going to say that. Add 1 2 charge rolls for friendly Godseeker units. Hedonite hosts, page 100. In your army must include 0 to 2 Epicurean Reveler battalions instead of 1 to 3, and 2 to 4 Seeker Cavalcade battalions instead of 1 to 3. This is seldom that I see them focusing so much on the battalions and how many things are in it. In amongst the allegiance abilities, this is different. Okay. Maniacal Hunters. At the end of your charge phase, you receive D3 depravity points if your general made a charge move in the same turn. Add 1 to the roll if any other friendly Godseeker units made a charge move in that turn. Cool. Add 1 to the roll if any other. Interesting. That's a pretty quick way to get yourself up in points. Yeah, okay. Doesn't look... You'll definitely be able to summon stuff. You'll definitely want to keep in mind that you're going to be able to summon stuff for sure. So become familiar with the summoning rules of Age of Sigmar, because you're going to need it. Okay. Command traits. Hunter Supreme. Reroll hit rolls and wound rolls. Ooh. Reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by this general if it made a charge move in the same turn. Cool. Maybe you may be needing a retreat and charge options for your guy. In this one, anyway. Sweeping Slash. After this general makes a charge move, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 1 inch of them. On a 2+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Well, that's nasty. Into the fray. The hit roll for the first attack made by this general during the battle is automatically a 6. Do not roll the dice. Well, that's kind of cool. And since it's a 6, you get 2 hits. The hit roll for the first attack made by this general during the battle is automatically 6. The hit roll for the first attack in the battle, though. I don't know how important the hit roll for the first attack in the battle is. Not sure. Could be important, though. Could be. Option is there, at least. Trail Sniffer. At the start of your hero phase, roll a dice if this general is wholly within enemy territory, and a 3+, add 1 to the attack characteristic of this general's melee weapons until your next hero phase. Nice. Symphoniac. At the start of the combat phase, roll 1 dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this general. On a 3+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Nasty. At the start of the combat phase, roll 1 dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches. On a 3+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. That's nice. It just keeps happening. They better run off or they're just gonna keep dying. It's good, and it's mortal wounds. Nasty. Speed Chaser. This general can retreat. Of course. This general can retreat and still charge later in the same turn. Got it. On the other hand, you can't use more than one of the command traits, and like this one is the really nice thing about charging. At the end of your charge phase. On the other hand, you would stack up the D3 depravity points in your general made a charge move in the same turn. Right, so that would allow that to happen more often because you won't be stuck in combat. And add 1 to charge rolls. Oh, and of course you can scoot over to different people. Interesting. Alright, why do I get the feeling that's going to be more stuff to do about charging around here? Maybe. Once per battle. This is Cameo of the Dark Prince. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, the bearer can use this artifact. If they do, you receive what I don't know about that. Once per battle, 1 command point. I mean, what are the other ones that you would want to just 1 extra command point? What in the world would you want 1 extra command point for? Okay. Girdle of the Realm Racer. Subtract 1 from the bearer's wounds characteristic. In addition, the bearer can fly. Okay. Neat. Remove a wound, but he can fly. That could be pretty powerful. Flying is not to be underestimated. I'd consider that for sure. Yes. Yes, I would. Threnody Voice Box. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy hero that is within 3 inches of the bearer. Subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic of melee weapons used by that hero to a minimum of 1 until the end of that phase. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy hero that is within 3 inches of this. Subtract 1. Okay. That's alright. Lash of Despair. At the start of your shooting phase, you can roll a dice for each enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer. At the start of your shooting phase, you can roll a dice for each enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer. On a 4+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Nice! Why not? Unless, of course, you're flying around. That's nice. Enrapturing Circlet. Enemies within 3 inches of the bearer cannot retreat. Ooh. In addition, at the start of your hero phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of the bearer. On a 3+, that unit suffer. Ooh. Well, nice. That would be just a... So someone tough comes in and captures them, which could really ruin their day if they were like going towards objectives or someone else more important. It captures them, and on a 3+, that unit suffers 1 more wound at the start of your hero phase. That's for each enemy unit within 3 inches of the bearer, and you can twist your guy around to capture more than 1 unit when you're piling in. Cool. Godseeker hero anyway, and then if you retreat and still charge later, perhaps with those 2, depending on how you're using it, you may really be able to mess someone up. Yep. Bindings of Slaanesh. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy hero within 3 inches of the bearer and roll 2d6. If the roll is greater than that hero's move characteristic, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that hero until the end of that phase. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy hero within 3 inches of the bearer and roll 2d6. Start of the combat, roll 2d6 within 3 inches. If the roll is greater than the hero's move characteristic, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that hero. That's nasty. Which would I choose though? Kind of like the fly. Just fly. Train doesn't matter. Other guys don't matter. Fly! On the other hand, that's also really nice. I would contemplate. Let me know which one you would want if you chose Godseekers. On the other hand, I think between all of them, so far I'm leaning towards these Pretenders. Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Pretenders. You let me know which ones you're leaning towards. I'm leaning towards the Pretenders. Ooh, spells. What do we have? Lash of Slaanesh. Lash of Slaanesh has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick 1 point on the battlefield within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them, and draw an imaginary straight line 1 millimeter wide between that point and the closest part of the caster's base. Roll a dice for each enemy model passing through that line, or passed across by that line. On a 4+, that model unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Slaanesh units are unaffected by the spell, and it's 12 inches. That's pretty good, and particularly for a melee wizard. On a 4+. Probably more often get just 1 unit. But you could get 2. At a casting value of 5. And the Slaanesh units are unaffected by the spell. On a casting value of 5, it's pretty similar to Arcane Bolt, though Arcane Bolt is 18 inches away. But this one has the option of getting more than 1 enemy. No, never mind. Roll a dice for each enemy model passed across by this line. On a 4+, that model's unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Okay, no, it's better than Arcane Bolt, yeah. If you're dealing with bigger model units. Okay, that's cool. That's nice. Pageant of Slaanesh. Pageant of Slaanesh has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy hero within 6 inches of the caster that is visible to them and roll a number of dice equal to that hero's move characteristic. For each 5+, oh, that's nasty, that hero suffers 1 mortal wound. I guess generally speaking, the faster that they are, the more wounds that they generally have. All the flying ones that might move like 12 inches. Or the ones that are on steeds and move 12 inches. Oh my goodness, though. A number of dice. If you did choose one that moved 12, on a 5+, that suffers 1 mortal wound. So 5+, that would average out a movement of 12. That'd be 4 mortal wounds. Though it is a casting value of 7. So, not as likely, but quite possible. And then for the heroes that only have movements of 6 on a 5+, that's still on average. Well, statistically it should be 2 wounds, so probably 2 to 4 wounds if you succeed the casting value. And you have to be within 6 inches of the caster. So good melee spell, other than the fact that it's 7 casting. But you're doing a significant amount of damage, so can't have it too easy to do that much, that many more wounds. And you could get super lucky and get like 6, 4. You could do a lot of damage. If you were lucky, you could do a lot of damage. If you're unlucky, you would do no damage. But it's 5+, that's not bad. Not bad at all. You'd probably do 1 damage. 1 to 2 damage. Often. 1 to 2 damage often for a casting value of 7. With the chance of doing more. Could take out a model right off the bat. I'd say I'd try it out for sure. See how lucky I actually am. Historical Frenzy. Historical Frenzy has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit wholly within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them and roll 1 dice for each model in that unit. For each 6, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. 1 enemy unit wholly within 18 inches. Wholly within 18 inches. Okay. That's not too difficult to pull off, though. And you will be doing your hero phase before you move. But it wouldn't be too difficult to pull off. Roll 1 for each model in that unit. On a 6, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. Could be good, could be good. Soul Slice Shards. Soul Slice Shards has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them and roll 2d6. If the roll is higher than the unit's bravery characteristic, that unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the difference between its bravery characteristic and the roll. So it'd be great for 2d6. It'd be great for units that have a bravery of 6 or 7 perhaps. Not so much for units that have a bravery of anything more than that. But it only has a casting value of 5, so you'd be able to do it successfully, get it off pretty often. Unless you're unlucky. Though unbinding spells would be happening too. I wonder if there's a way to reduce their bravery. Oh, I think there was. I think there's something back here did reduce bravery. Bum, bum. Somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Somewhere reduced bravery, which... Subtract 2. Mask of Spiteful Beauty. At the start of your hero phase, pick one enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer. Subtract 2 from that unit's bravery until your next hero phase. So that would be a nice... That'd be a nasty combination. Which, right there. Soul Slice Shards. That might work. Phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them and roll 6 dice. Okay. For each 5+, subtract 1 from that unit's bravery characteristic to a minimum of 1 until your next hero phase. Until your next hero phase. So I can't do that and then that if you had the option of doing both, picking both of them, unless you could cast both of them at the same time. That would be pretty nasty. On the other hand, it has a casting value of 7. I'm not so certain about that one. You know, casting value of 7, reducing bravery. I'm not sure. Born of Damnation. Born of Damnation has a casting value of 4. Okay. If successfully cast, pick one friendly Hedonite hero within 6 inches of the caster that is visible to them. You can heal... Oh, wow, that's an easy heal. You can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to that hero. That is an easy heal. I guess it's also an easy unbind. But nice. It's always an option. If you can't think of anything else, just go with the heal. Probably good for the ones that the 3 warlord group, invaders it was. Might be good for that, since you're gonna have a bunch of heroes. Oh, we've got. That was for wizards. This one is for greater demons only. Forbidden Sorceries of Slaanesh, and we've got 3 of them. So, Pass of the Dark Prince has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, the caster can fly until your next hero phase. I don't know. I mean, if you cared that much about flying, I think I'd go with the artifact. On the other hand, if it's a named character, you can't take the artifact, so maybe that. Progeny of Damnation. Progeny of Damnation has a casting value. Oh, and I suppose you probably have the, there's a malign sorcery that helps your casting values, so you might be able to use that. Progeny of Damnation has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick one friendly demon hero, demon Hedonite hero within 6 inches of the caster that is visible to them. You can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to that hero. If the casting roll was 10+, you can heal up to D6 wounds allocated to that hero instead. Nice. For greater demon, that's nasty. Slothful Stupor. Slothful Stupor has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick one enemy hero within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them until your next hero phase. That hero cannot use command abilities and cannot run or attempt to charge. Well, that would be nasty. Casting value of 7 though. But yeah, Could really ruin someone not being able to charge. I don't know how important their command abilities would be, but not be able to run or charge is pretty nasty. Lore of Pain and Pleasure for a mortal wizard only. Okay, lots. Oh. Slaanesh Demon Wizard. Mortal Wizard. Got it. Important note. Battle Rapture. Battle Rapture has a casting value of 5. Successfully cast, pick a friendly mortal Slaanesh unit wholly within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Do not take battle shock tests for that unit. Value of 5 is very doable. Until your next hero phase, if the casting roll is 10 or more, you can pick up to 3 friendly Slaanesh mortal units wholly within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them instead of 1. Cool. That would be handy for only casting value of 5. You can only choose mortal Slaanesh units, so we just want to keep track of what good mortal Slaanesh units you might have. Or you actually have to worry about the bravery, so bigger mortal units. Judgment of Excess has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 12 inches of that caster that is visible to them. Or that unit suffers 1 mortal wound for every 5 models in that unit. Huh. If that unit has fewer than 5 models, it suffers 1 mortal wound instead. Okay. So pick 1 enemy within 12 inches of the caster that is visible. That could be taking out, for not very much, could be taking out a fair bit of models. 1 for 5, 2 for 10, 3 for 15, 4 for 20. I don't think there's any 25 units, so 6 for 30. That's pretty nasty. That's super nasty. Casting value of 5. And there's no rolling after that. It's just gonna happen. That's quite nasty. 12-inch range is not bad at all. Cool. That's super nasty. Yeah. Alright. Dark Delusions has a casting value of 4. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit wholly within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them and roll 2d6. If the roll is equal to or greater than the unit's bravery characteristic, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target that unit to your next hero phase. Well, that's alright. That one's super nasty though. Super nasty. Minimum still, you're gonna do 1 mortal wound, so that's super nasty. If you could use 2 spells, you'd be like doing Arcane Bolt plus Judgment of Excess. Lots of mortal wound. Fane of Slaanesh. Oh, it's the terrain feature. Yes, Fane of Slaanesh. So very straightforward. Oh, it's right there. That pretty thing. That pretty unusual looking thing. So let's see. You can include 1 Fane. After territories have been chosen, but before armies are set up, you can set up the Fane wholly within your territory and more than 3 inches from any other terrain features or objectives. So it just doesn't seem like it would be a hard one to set up. If both players can set up a terrain feature before armies are set up, they must roll off and the winner chooses which terrain features are set up first. Okay, so Miss Fane. If you spend depravity points to summon a Slaanesh unit and a Slaanesh demon unit into the battlefield, you can set up that unit wholly within 12 inches of this terrain. Okay, so in replacement of your general, you can set it up 12 inches of the terrain instead, and more than 9 inches for any units. So that's nice. Not nice enough to, I think. No, it does really free up. You put them in a good spot at the beginning, based on the objectives. Frees up your abilities. They aren't able to keep you from summoning any demons because of the location of one of your guys. Yeah, 2 different summoning locations is definitely better than 1. It was summoning based on your general, not just a hero, or was it on a hero? 12 inches of a friendly Slaanesh hero, okay. Alright, what else do you do? Oh, at the start of your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Slaanesh hero within 6 inches of the terrain feature to make a sacrifice. If you do, the hero suffers. Does it make depravity points? Probably makes depravity points. Let's see. If you do, the hero suffers 1 mortal wound, and you must roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2+, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that hero until your next hero phase. Okay. That's fine. I make the hero suffers a mortal wound to add 1 to hit rolls. On a 2+. If the hero you pick has an artifact of power, instead of suffering 1 mortal wound, they can sacrifice the artifact of power. That's interesting. Oh, particularly if they've... if they do so, the artifact of power can no longer be used. Well, that would assume that, yeah. And you must roll a dice if a weapon that was picked when the artifact of power was selected, that weapon reverts to normal. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2+, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that hero for the rest of the battle. Nice. So if you have a 1-off artifact of power, you use that and then add 1 to hit rolls to your hero for the rest of the game. It's interesting. We've got some battle plans, which I shall not go into. Path to glory. La 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 la. Rewards tables. War scrolls. So this one would be the big guy. The Hedonite host. Which these things changed around with depending on who you choose. Add 1 to bravery characteristic of units from this battalion. In addition, if this battalion is part of your army, at the start of your hero phase, you receive D3 depravity points. We'll have to keep in mind that for how much it costs to have that battalion. Little battalions. We've got a little battalion of 3 to 6 Slaanesh heroes. At the start of your hero phase, roll a dice. If the roll is less than or equal to the number of heroes from this battalion that are on the battlefield, you receive 1 command point. Oh, that's a pretty straightforward way to get extra command points. Depends on its points cost. 2 to 6 demonettes, 0 to 4 hellflayers, exalted chariots, or units of fiends in any combination. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by a demonette from this battalion is 6, the attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends. Yeah, sure. Why not? That sounds good. Sounds lovely. Unmodified wound roll. Ew. Oh, actually, that's better. Yeah, because your 6s in your hit rolls would get extra hits, and then your 6s in your wound rolls would deal mortal wound, no save. That's alright. 0 to 4 could be if you were playing a smaller game and you just had 2 units of demonettes and nothing else. You'd still be able to use this ability. That's great. 6s are important. Units from this battalion are eligible to fight in the combat phase if they are within 6 inches of an enemy unit instead of 3, and can move an extra 3 inches when they pile in. Well, that is interesting. It would include 2 to 6 Seekers, Bliss, Barb, Seekers, Slick Blade Seekers, or Hellstriders, and 0 to 4 units of Seeker Chariots. That's interesting. Very curious how that would play out. Sounds nasty. Once per turn in your hero phase, you can pick 1 Bliss Barb Archers unit from this battalion. That unit can shoot in your hero phase. Ooh, double shooting. That sounds nice. And it has 3 Lords of Pain or Shards Speakers of Slaanesh in any combination, and 3 units of Bliss Barb Archers. Neat. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by units from this battle battalion that made a charge move in the same turn. Is good. And that's 3 to 6 units of Myrmidesh Painbringers or Simbaresh Twin Soul. And then we've got after armies are set up, but before the first battle round begins, up to D6 units from this battalion can move up to 6 inches. That could be really nasty. And we've got 2 to 3 Bliss Barb Seekers, 2 to 3 Six-Blade Seekers, or 2 to 3 Seekers. That could be quite nasty for capturing objectives and or getting into melee. Keeper of Secrets. Well, I do not know all of this offhand. Whether this is changed or the same. Selesky, Shalaxy, Hellbane, that's a new one. The Contorted Epitome, Infernal Rapturous, the Mask, the Vice Leader, Bladebringer, Hellflayer, Secret Chariots, Exalted Chariot, Daemonettes, Fiends, Seekers, House-Striders, Glutos or Scullion, Sigvault, Lord of Pain, Shards, Speaker of Slaanesh, Bliss Barb Seekers, Siegbald Seekers, Myrmidesh Painbringers, Simbaresh Twin Souls, Bliss Barb Archers, oh my goodness, there's a lot. Slangor Fiendbloods, the Dread Pageant, Wheels of Excruciation, Mesmerizing Mirror, and Dreadful Visage. And the pitched battle profiles. Okay, before we get to the War Scrolls, let's just see what all of this costs anyway. So Daemonettes are minimum size 10 at 110 points per 10. Bladebringer is 250, or on Exalted Chariot is 250. Bladebringer on Hellflayer is 200. Bladebringer on Secret Chariot is 190. Contorted Epitome is 210. Glutos or Scullion, Lord of Gluttony, is 400. Another big guy. Infernal and Rapturous is 150. Lord of Pain is 150. The Mask is 130. Shard Speaker of Slaanesh is 150. Siegvald is 260. Celeste is 200. Vice Leader is 130. Keeper of Secrets is 340. Shalaxy Hellbane is 310. Ah, the Keeper of Secrets is not a unique one. Maybe that's the one I would choose as a warlord or general to run around doing nastiness. Bliss Barb Archers. Minimum 11. Okay. Be different. Max 33. 160 points for 11. 5 to 15 for 180. The 4 for 120. 190. 3 to 9 at 180. Hellflayer. Oh, I should probably say the Bliss Barb Archers are 11 to 33 at 160. The Bliss Barb Seekers are 5 to 15 at 180. The Dread Pageant is 4 at 120. The Exalted Chariot is 1 at 190. The Fiends are 3 to 9 at 180 per 3. The Hellflayer is 1 at 130. The House-Striders are 5 to 20 at 140 per 5. The House-Striders with House Scourges, the previous one was just Claw Spears. The House-Striders with House Scourges are 5 to 20 at 150 points per 5. The Myrmidesh Painbringers are 5 to 20 for 150 per 5. The Seeker Chariots are 1 to 3 at 130 per chariot. Battle Line of Godseekers, neat. Seekers are 5 to 20 at 150. Slangor Fiendbloods are 3 to 9 at 140. Sickblade Seekers are 5 to 15 at 20. Simbaresh Twin Souls are 5 to 20 at 170. Hey, where? Is there another one? Because where's... Oh, there's more. Okay. All the battalions. So, the Fane of Slaanesh is 0. the 3 endless spells. Wheels of Excruciation is 50, Dreadful Visage is 40, and the Mesmerizing Mirror is 60. And then we've got Depraved Carnival is 160, Epicurean Revelers is 180, the Hedonite Host, which is the big one, is 120, the Nobles of Excess is 140, the Seeker Cavalade is 140, the Exalted Speed Knights is 120, and the Supreme Sybarites are 150. And who are our allies? Our allies can be Beasts of Chaos, Nurgle, Slaves to Darkness, Siege. Khorne units cannot be taken as allies for a Slaanesh army. Just in case you were wondering, you can't take Khorne with Slaanesh. Okay. Okay. House Striders. Alright, big guy first then. Glutos Orskalion. Guided by the demon Lothshar, Glutos Orskalion is on a quest to sample the most exotic tastes in the mortal realms. Riding atop an opulent palanquin and surrounded by his devoted court, he can unmake whole armies through his loathsome magics. Now, first off, he's got 18 wounds. That's a lot of wounds. His move is starting off at 8 and going down to 4 inches. He saves on 3 and he's a 9 bravery. Alright, so he's got all his henchmen, so they probably have this extra abilities that might disappear as they disappear, I imagine. Yeah, companions starts out with all and loses them as he goes. Yep. Painbringer. He's got his 3 companions: Painbringer Kiazu, Lashmaster Visk, and Priestess Doleth. And so you lose Doleth first, and then you lose Lashmaster Visk, and then you lose Kiazu. And you probably lose their abilities too. Alright. Their melee weapons are Wailing Greatblade, 3 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -2, 2 damage each, good. Flailing Scourge, 2 attacks, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound, 1 damage, no rend. Sacrificial Dagger, 1 attack, 4+ to hit, 3+ to wound, 1 damage. Crushing Claws, attacks start at 6, which is nasty. 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, 3 damage each. Whew! Nasty. Super nasty. Okay. Now, Glutos Orskalion is a named character that is a single model. He is accompanied by the Painbringer Kiazu, who attacks with a Wailing Greatblade, so it does seem like you're going to be losing them when he's gone. Lashmaster Visk, who attacks with the Flailing Scourge, and Priestess Doleth, who attacks with the Sacrificial Dagger. So the big guy himself is attacking with Crushing Claws. Okay. The companions that currently accompany Glutos vary depending on the number of wounds suffered by this model, as shown on the damage table. You can only use the companion's abilities for the companions currently accompanying Glutos, and only those companions can attack. Okay, so in that way you'd probably want to have them magnetized so that when they're wounded, you can remove them. Just magnetize their feet or whichever, so that you can remove them when they get hurt, which would be very functional for your model. That's what I would do. For all of the rules purposes, companions are treated the same manner as a mount. And the mount, however, is the palanquin bearers, and they attack with their Crushing Claws, and you never lose them. Yeah. Okay. The Grand Gourmand. This model gains an ability each battle round, as shown below. Note that all of these abilities are cumulative. Okay. Battle round 1. You add 1 to bravery characteristic of friendly mortal Hedonite units while within 6 inches of this model. That's good. Battle round 2. Aperitif starter, main course, dessert, digestive. Okay. Starter. This bottle can run and still charge later in the same turn. Oh, that's nasty. That's like scary. Rumbling of that going towards you. Battle round 3. Main course. Do not take battle check tests for friendly mortal Hedonite units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this model. Cool. Wholly within though. Just keep them within. Battle round 4. Dessert. At the end of your hero phase, you can replace the spell this model knows from the Lore of Pain and Pleasure table with a new spell from that table. In addition, this model can attempt to cast 1 extra spell in your hero phase. You mortal? You're mortal. Okay. So that's cool. Battle round 4. Wonder how the battle is going about by battle round 4 though. Battle round 5. Digestive. You can reroll casting, dispelling, and unbind rolls for this model. Okay. Fog of Temptation. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units within 12 inches of this model. That's nasty. Subtract 1 from hit rolls. That's super nasty. The Leer Stave. I happen to know it's nasty because I have Dryads in the Sylvaneth army, and they can have a -1 to hit rolls, and they live a lot longer when you have -1 to hit rolls. And it's only when they are near their trees, but this one happens as long as the enemy units are within 12 inches. That is nasty. The Leer Stave of Lothshar. Add 1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for this model. That's also nasty. All those 7 casting cost ones are now 6 casting costs. Much more feasible, and all the 5 casting costs are like 4 casting costs. And that just happens. Okay. Now, companion abilities, the ones that go away as your companions go away. Okay. If this is Painbringer Kiazu, the last one to go. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with this model's Wailing Greatblade is 6, that attack inflicts 2 mortal wounds on the target and the attack sequence ends. Okay. And he normally does 2 damage, so you're not losing out on anything. It's great. It ends. You take 2. No save. Lashmaster Visk. You can reroll charge rolls for this model. That could be quite nasty, yeah? Priestess Doleth. In your hero phase, you can say that Doleth will call to Slaanesh to protect her master. If you do, so roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2+ until your next hero phase, you can roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this model. On a 5+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. Really? Oh gosh, just what this 18 wound guide needed. A way to negate wounds. Great. Alright, command abilities. Gorge on Excess. You can use this command ability once per turn in your hero phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Hedonite unit wholly within 12 inches of this model until your next hero phase. If an enemy unit is destroyed by an attack made by that Hedonite unit, and there are wounds that remain to be allocated to that enemy unit from that attack, heal up to the same number of wounds allocated to that Hedonite unit. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Hedonite unit. So your next hero phase if an enemy unit is destroyed by that Hedonite, and there are wounds that remain to be allocated to that enemy unit for that attack, heal up to the same number of wounds allocated to that Hedonite unit. Okay, so you make others heal too. Sounds familiar, like Alariel did that or something. Can't remember what that well, but nasty. The model is a wizard. You can attempt to cast 2 spells in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 2 spells in the enemy hero phase. It knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Crippling Famishment. And you can reroll and attack. This model can run. Where's this? I don't know where you got an extra. At the end of you, in addition, this model can attempt to cast 1 extra spell, so you can get up to 3 different spells. Nasty. Alright, Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Crippling Famishment. Crippling Famishment has a casting value of 7. Or 6 later. Well, no, that's re-rolling. Place. Attempt. Where are they? Charge. More wounds. Use. Add 1. Oh, so it's a... Or it's just one of the things that he does, just naturally. So, casting value of 7, but really, casting value of 6 for your sakes. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them until your next hero phase. Have the move characteristic of that unit, have the run rolls for that unit, and have the charge rolls for that unit. That could be really, really painful. Really get in the way. So that's cool. That is your 400 point model. 18 wounds though. 400 points, 18 wounds, 2 spells, 2 unbinds, up to 3 spells. Stopping battle shock tests, healing guys, healing themselves. It does a lot. Lots of damage. It does a lot. He's named, of course, so you can't give him artifacts. But you can make him your warlord and be super nasty, that's for sure. Alright, Siegbald. Prince Siegbald. He has 6 wounds, which is pretty normal for a model of his size. 6 wounds, 6-inch movement, 3+ save, 9 bravery. He has Shards slash See Below, powered by addition is either add 3 charge rolls for this model. Add 3 to charge rolls for this model. In addition, the attack's characteristic of Shards slash is either 5 or equal to the unmodified charge roll made for this model in the same turn, whichever is higher, which could be super nasty. So minimum 5 attacks, possibly a lot higher. 2+, 3+, Ren -2, D3 damage each. Gee willikers. That is nasty. Minimum, and add 3. He's getting in there. Minimum 5 attacks, 2+, 3+, Ren -2, D3 damage each. That is going to slaughter you. How much? How much did it cost? What did it cost? A lot, right? Prince. Where are the 2? Sigvault, 260. 260. Alright, how do you keep him alive? Other than he's named, so how are you going to keep him alive? This model fights at the start of the combat phase. If it made a charge move in the same turn, it cannot fight again in that phase unless an ability or spell allows it to fight more than once. Okay, so that's how you keep it alive. And he's got a mirror shield as well, so he's armed with Shard Slash and a mirror shield. So you kill it before it can attack you back. Got it. Okay. Shard Slash. Wounds inflicted by an attack made with Shard Slash cannot be negated. Great. The Mirror Shield. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this model. On a 4+, that wound or mortal wound is alright. Feels like 260. I could do 260 for this guy. Yeah. I'd do it. Nasty. just nasty. You add 3 to charge rolls in addition to the unmodified. Okay, never mind that. So unmodified charge roll. Minimum 5 attacks. He's gonna get in there. Wow. And he's smaller, right? So I think you'd be able to get more enemies around him, which is good for you by the way that it's going. I think he's smaller. Base. What's his base? There you are. Okay, so your base is, I don't know, 60? 50 or so? 50 or 60 millimeters across. Okay. Still can get quite a few models around him. That could be quite nasty. Alright. Yeah, I'd play him. Yep. Okay. Lord of Pain. Mr. Lord of Pain. So you've got 5 wounds, 6-inch movement, 4+ save, 7 bravery, and armed with a soul piercer mace. You must not be over 200 points. You must be like 140. Lord of Pain. 150. Los. Okay. 2-inch range, 5 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, 2 damage each, so good melee. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or a mortal wound to this model, and a 5+ wound or mortal wound is negated. In addition, each time a wound or mortal wound inflicted by a melee weapon is negated by this ability, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound, which is fantastic. So a good little damager. A Paragon of Depravity. You can use this command ability in the combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly mortal Hedonite unit within 12 inches of this model. You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by that unit in that phase. So that is why you bring him. Okay, so you bring him along with your big units, your multi-model units. You stick him in there with them, and he does all his lovely damage, and he's hard to have damage done to him, but most importantly, he makes you be able to re-roll with command abilities. So you want your command points where I'm Lord of Pain in with your demonettes probably, and he makes them better, and he's good himself. So cool. That's what I would do. Alright. Shard Speaker of Slaanesh. We've got 5 wounds, 6 movement, 5+ save, 7 bravery. Are you like 140 points? Shard Speaker 1. Shard Speaker 150. Alright, so Haze Staff, 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 4+ to hit, 3+ to wound, no rend, D3 damage with Shadow Cloak Claws, 2-inch range, 4 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -2, 1 damage. That's nasty. A Shard Speaker of Slaanesh is a single model armed with a Haze Staff, so who is using the claws? If this model successfully casts a spell that is not unbound, until your next hero phase, this model can attack using the Shard Cloaked Claws melee weapon, and you can add 2 to save rolls for attacks that target this model. Cool. You get some shadowy mist demons to help you. Twisted Mirror. Once per turn in your shooting phase, you can... Shooting phase? You're not going to be shooting. I guess you are going to be shooting with the Twisted Mirror. You can pick 1 enemy unit within 9 inches of this model and roll a dice on a 3+, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks that target that unit in the following combat phase. The same unit cannot be affected by this model more than once per turn. Could be good. Could be good. It's going to happen on a 3+, so you might as well just do it all the time. Could be quite nice. Okay. This is a wizard. And it can attempt to cast one spell and attempt to unbind one spell. It knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Reflection Eternal spells. Okay. Reflection Eternal has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made by that unit in the following combat phase. Casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick one unit within 12 inches. Subtract 1 from wound rolls. Okay. Bliss Barb Seekers. Oh, the new Seekers. Yes. 4 wounds each. And you're probably going to be having them in groups of... What? Where are the groups of? Is it groups of 5 or 3? Bliss Barb Seekers. 11. What? Oh, no. 5. Yeah. 5. Okay. So that's 20 wounds in a group. Minimum. 20, and 180 points for 20 wounds. That's good math. 14 movement. Well, 5 plus save. No problem. They've got 4 wounds and they got 14 movement. 6 bravery. They have 18-inch, 3 attacks, 4 plus to hit, 4 plus to wound, rend -1 damage. It's alright. 3 attacks is nice, and there's 5 of them. Okay, so a unit of Bliss Barb Seekers has any number of models, each armed with a Bliss Barb bow and a Sigmar blade. They also have this in poisoned tongues. The steeds have poisoned tongues. Okay. The Simbaresh blade is 1 attack, 4 plus to hit, 4 plus to wound, 1 damage. And the poisoned tongues are 2 attacks each, 3 plus to hit, 3 plus to wound, and 1 damage. So they're okay in melee. And they're, the 4 plus to 4 plus isn't fantastic, but you've got 5 of them. That's a lot of attacks. That's 15 attacks during your, 15 attacks during your shooting, and all 6s turn into even more hits, and 4 plus to wound, and there's ways to reduce your wounds. So this could be quite a nasty unit to go with other models and other specialized things. So cool. High Tempter. 1 model in this unit can be a High Tempter. Add 1 to the attack's characteristic. Good. For the bow. This unit can run and still shoot later in the same turn. Wow. 18 inches. Doesn't matter very much if you can move 14 inches and run and shoot. So you can... Oh, shoot. Stop moving. So you can basically get across... You could just shoot anyone you want. 15 shots. But you can go up to 15 guys in 1 unit though, right? That is super nasty. 15. Up to 45 shots just running across the board, shooting at you. And 6s do extra hits, and you have a way to get the wounds down, though. Yeah. Subtract 1 from wound rolls made by that unit in the following combat phase. Enemy unit, that's not the one. Is it you, Lord of Pain? You can only move 6. Can use this command ability in the combat phase. Rerolls, no. I have to go back to see where you can add 1 to the movement. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with this missile weapon by this unit is 6, the attack inflicts 1 more wound and the attack sequence ends. Wow, so your rend is less. That's savage. 180 points. This seems like a great model to me. You let me know what you think. That seems like a model worth having. Okay, Slick Blade Seekers. I assume they cost the same because they're just a variant of the Bliss Barb. It looks like they are the melee version. Slick, 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 slick blade. Oh, they're more expensive. 200 instead of 150. I like the shots though. What do you do? That would make me... Well, this is a melee-based army. You can reroll charge rolls for this unit, which is very nice. To make certain you get in. They are not that good if they can't get into melee. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. Oh, that's a big difference. Alright, so 3 attacks. This is range 2 inches. 3 attacks, 3 plus to hit, 3 plus to wound, rend -1, 1 damage each, with the unmodified wound roll of being 6. And you've already got the all the 6s getting double hits, so that could be a lot of damage as well. That's another 15 possible attacks and more because of the 2 hit getting an additional hit. That's a lot. These are great. Yeah, whether you're choosing the melee ones or whether you're choosing the arrows. I think I prefer the arrow ones. Just because I like the possibility of shooting things down wherever they happen to be. And then you charge in afterwards. Well, I guess if you run, you won't be charging in, but you can move and shoot and then charge and do a significant amount just to finish them off. Seems super nasty. Super nasty. And great objective. Great for objectives. Seems like a powerful unit. Let me know what you think. Myrmidesh Painbringers. 2 wounds each. 6 inches. 7 bravery. 4+. So there's kind of seeming like some sequitors. How much do you cost? Myrmidesh Painbringers. 150 points per 5. You can get up to 20. Okay. 1 inch range, 2 attacks, 3 plus to hit, 3 plus to wound, rend -1, rend -1, and 1 damage. Okay, and the Painmaster. 1 model in this unit can be a Painmaster. Add 1 to the attack's characteristic. If the unmodified wound roll... Well, that's nice. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by this unit is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. All these extra mortal wounds can really add up to anything that is hard to get through their save characteristic. So that's nasty. And then again, we still got the extra hits. Extra hits allow for extra wound rolls. Super nasty. And you can reroll save rolls for attacks made with this melee weapon. Made with melee weapons to target this unit. Definitely feels a bunch like little Slaanesh-y Stormcast Eternals. For 150 points, they move a little bit faster than Sequitors. Seems like a good unit too. Myrmidesh Painbringers. Now, Simbaresh Twin Souls, which... Why did I look up all of these earlier if I wasn't going to remember them? Simbaresh Twin Souls, 5 up to 20, and 170 points. Battle line if general is a Lord of Pain. So 170 points for 5. You've got 2 wounds each, 8 movement, 4 plus save, 7 bravery. Your merciless blades are 2 inch range, 3 attacks each, 4 plus to hit, 3 plus to wound, 2 damage each, no rend. Add one model in this unit, the Ego Pomp, has an additional 1 attack. Okay. Fractured Souls. At the start of your hero phase, you must pick one of the following abilities to apply. Oh, maybe this is the Sequitors. To apply to this unit until your next hero phase, you must pick a different ability in each battleground. Oh, that's different. Okay. Oh, yeah, you just pick a different ability. At the start of your, you must pick one of the following abilities to apply this unit and to apply to this unit until your next hero phase. Alright, Ego-Driven Excess. You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this unit, or Fiendish Reflexes. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this unit on a 5+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. The Sequitors with their shields could improve their saving throws, and that way that was probably better than this. But really similar. Pretty close. I think I'd stick on that one. But, you know, if you want to keep them alive for some reason, you'd go ahead with that. Cool. Something to not forget. Seems like a fine model. Alright. Bliss Barb Archers. They're off their Seekers. So we've already seen what the Bliss Barb Bow does and the Simbaresh Blade does. It's just they're off their Seekers. And so instead of 4 wounds, you've got 1 wound, movement of 6, 6 bravery, and a 6+ save. Okay. How much do you cost? And how many are in your unit? Oh, you're the strange one with 11. Right? Yeah, 11 to 33. Bliss Barb Archers. How do you come in boxes of 11? Because that would be kind of awkward. One model in this unit can be a High Tempter. Add 1 to the attacks for the bow. 1 in every 11 models in this unit must be a Bliss Brew Homunculus. A Bliss Brew Homunculus is armed with the Simbaresh Blade. Add 1 to wound rolls for the attacks made with missile weapons by this unit while it includes the Bliss Brew, while it includes any Bliss Brew Homunculi. They are light-footed killers, as in they can run and still shoot later in the same turn. Lovely. Nice. Imagine if you had the Bliss Barb Archers and Bliss Barb Seekers. A lot of craziness going on. Super fast. I guess you're not so super fast. I think I prefer the Seekers. But you get a lot of them. That's a lot. 2 attacks each instead of 3 attacks. But if there's 11 to 33, it's 22 to 66 shots. Definitely adds up. Neat. Slangor Fiend Blood. Fiend Blood. Okay. Our unit of Slangor Fiendbloods has any number of models, each armed with razor sharp claws. 1 model in this unit can be a Slakehorn. That model is armed with a razor sharp claw and a gilded weapon, so only one of them is going to have the gilded weapon. And the Slaanesh, Slangor Fiendbloods are Slangor Fiendbloods 3 to 9 with 140 per 3. So, 3 wounds each, 8 movement, speedy anyway, 5+2, save, 6 bravery, whoopsies. We've got range of 2 inches, 3 attacks each, 4+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, 1 damage, and one of them also has 2 more attacks, 4+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, and 2 damage each. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this unit's melee weapons if a charge move is made in the same turn, which is super nasty. Slaughter at any cost. Obsessive Violence. At the end of the combat phase, pick 1 enemy unit within 3 inches of this unit and roll a dice for each model in that unit for each... No, sorry. Within 3 inches of this unit and roll a dice for each model in this unit, so them, for each 4+ that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Okay, that's good. At the end of the combat phase. It's kind of like a Sylvaneth stomp. Stomp. Kurnoth Hunter stomp. It's good. Can really add up. The Dread Pageant. The Dread Pageant is a named unit that has 4 models. Vasilic the Gifted is armed with the Dread Harpoon and Pain Bringer Shield. Lake Slash is armed with a Crushing Claw and Gilded Weapon. Glizette is armed with a Slick Blade Glaive, and Hazzu is armed with a Bliss Barb Bow. Oh, it's all grouped together in their own cool way. Some of the previous guys are Hazdu. Cute. Some of the previous guys are off their whatever they were riding before and are now in their own little thing. That's cool. They are one. They each have 1 wound. Movement is 6 inches. 5+ to save, 7. The Bliss Barb Bow we know is 2 attacks with 4+ to hit, 4+ to wound, rend -1 and 1 damage. Crushing Claw and Gilded Weapon is 4 attacks, 4+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -2, 2 damage. The Slick Blade Glaive is 3 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1 and 1 damage. Dread Harpoon is 4 attacks, 2+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1 and D3 damage. So nasty. Add 2 to Slake Slash's wound characteristic. Cool. So everyone else is 1, but he's 3. Okay. Art of the Myrmidesh. You can roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to Vasilic or Vasilac. On a 4+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. Nasty. And Deadliest Procession. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by this unit is 6. Hit roll for an attack made by this unit is 6. That attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. And also does an additional attack. It's nasty. And our endless spells. Well, before we get to the endless spells, I guess it is time. There's the endless spells. Then I guess it's time to go back and check out the other ones. But there we finished the brand new War Scrolls. Will I go through all these ones? You can check out the War Scrolls on the website too. These are all previously done. Keeper of Secrets. I think I'll let you check those guys out. And we shall call it there. This looks like a very cool melee-based, but all those bows. Very interesting how it will play. I will have to go through the other War Scrolls as well, the ones of the older models, and see what kind of game to play. If you have an army list you're already planning, you should mention it and down below so that people could have a chat about how they're going to play with these new rules and these new models. I would totally use the new models in my army. Let me know what you think. That Lord of Pain seems pretty handy, and then the new Prince. So many ways to go about it, and I would be very curious to know what you think of it. That was awesome. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, like and subscribe because I will be doing another Battletome shortly. Bye!